Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Matt from Werkman Outfitters. Today I'm going to show you how to tie the Flashmaster. This is a swung fly that I really like to use for trout and steelhead. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a very flashy fly. It's tied out of ripple ice fiber and bucktail primarily, and then we just have a little bit of a dubbing head on there. We also like to incorporate a rattle in this fly. So that's something I'll show you how to tie in. And we just like to use that because as bait fish move through the water, when they get spooked, a lot of times when they make that tail kick, there is a little bit of a clicking noise. So sometimes when you get to the very end of your drift, give that rod a couple bounces, especially if you're fishing like a shelf or an area where the water kind of gets a little skinny there. Those bigger fish will kind of follow that fly up there, and helps create kind of like an impulse drive to run down and kill whatever they're chasing. In this case, it's your fly. So yeah, that's why I kind of like to use the rattles. But yeah, we'll show you how to tie that in, and we'll get right into it. So I'll run through the stuff you need real quick. We are tying on, I use a number 4 streamer hook. This is just a bulk pack of number 4 streamer hooks that I bought. Looks like there's 100 in here. Quite a while ago. I'm starting to get down there, but for that hook, it's maybe 1.25 inches long, 1.8 inches roughly. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use this to tie on. You can use a shank somewhere around 1 inch to 1.1 inches. And we're just going to take this, our wire cutter, and I'll just do this real quick here. Just nip that back on. So we're literally just using the shank of that hook. So I've got that clip. So said number 4 streamer hook. We're going to use ripple ice fiber in gold. We've got orange ice dub, some chartreuse bucktail, some chartreuse flash boo, and some gold flash boo. And then we've got a 4mm rattle is what we're going to incorporate in there for our rattle. So just a little glass rattle, doesn't really have tie rods or anything like that. So fairly simple to use. Our hooks, we're using number 6 octopus hooks. These ones happen to be VMCs. 4 to 6 are fine. Then UTC 140 thread. So that's kind of what we're doing. Very simple fly to tie. And it's a very productive fly. So I will get the camera zoomed in, and I'll get right into it so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing and how I'm putting this all together. So give me just a second, I'll readjust, and we'll get going. Alright, so we're zoomed right into our vise here. I showed you guys how to cut that shank, so here's our little shank that we're going to use. I'm just going to slide that into our vise. Clamp that down. Make sure it's just in there enough that, there we go. Clamp that down just a little bit better. There we go. Alright, so we're going to wrap our thread from the front all the way to the back of the shank. So get back there, trim off our tag end, and then we are going to add a hook loop. This is a swung fly, so I'm going to snip off. I like to use Power Pro, so this is some 30-pound Power Pro. You can use wire, you can use monofilament, but I just like the flex of this braided line here. So we're going to fold our line, our single piece. We're going to fold it so we have a little loop there. We're going to lay that loop on top of the shank. Make sure it sticks out maybe, you can see the loop there on the back of my hand. Make sure it sticks out maybe 3/4 of an inch past the end of the shank there. We're just going to bring your line up, cinch down a couple times, straighten that line out. We're going to work it right up to the front of the hook just to tie in that loop. Starts to get a little wonky on you. walk back just a little bit here. You just want to make sure that's tied in tight. That way you don't have to worry about that pulling out when you get a fish on there. Once you get up to the top, you're going to take these two strands, you're going to fold them back over. And then I just work my way back down towards the tail end of the hook. So right in there. Trim those tag ends off. So after we clip this top off right here, the two little tag ends, we're going to grab some of our Flashaboo, grab some chartreuse flash here, slide out a package. We'll get maybe 5 to 10 strands there, somewhere in there. Just gonna snip some of that off real quick. And you want just enough to hang out maybe 1/2 inch past the end of your hook loop there. You can tell I've got a lot of extra here, but I'm just going to bring my line up. Cinch down 2 wraps on there. Trim off the extra. And I'm going to grab just a little bit of gold Flashaboo. I like the gold because it's a little bit more subtle, so you get a little bit more movement out of it. Snip off roughly the same amount. Just going to lay that over top of the chartreuse. Pinch and tie in 2 wraps of that. Snip off the extra. Now it's time for our rattle. Get it out of the bag. So put your little rattle here. I don't know if you can hear that. But I'm going to tie this in right on the very bottom. So what I like to do is I like to hand it off to my left hand, pull it up to the fly there. Just kind of squeeze it to the back. I'm going to start with some tight wraps there. Just make sure that it's centered. It's not going to walk up either side there. Just give it a lot of really tight wraps. I'm going to try to pinch it, see if it moves. This one isn't moving, but I'm going to give it just a few more right in the back. Where that flash is. I'm going to come up just above where that rattle's tied in. I'm going to start on our body. So I'm going to grab some Ripple Ice Fiber in gold, and as this fiber comes out, what I like to do is I try to take a chunk that's all facing the same direction, just give it a little bit of a pull there. So you can see I've kind of got a nice clump. Kind of straighten it out, find the center, pull any of the extra pieces out that I don't need. I'll find center, I set that center piece right over top of where my bobbin is. I'm going to take that line, come up over top, pinch it, cinch it down, pinch it, cinch it down, give it a wrap, and then I'm going to take the back end, I'll bring my bobbin right up above, and then to get the coating on the bottom and sides, I'm going to take that flash, I'm just going to lightly push it down with my pointer and thumb, do a loose wrap there, and you can kind of cinch it down. And just work that back towards that rattle. We're going to come back up. We're going to do that again. Again, try to find a clump that's facing out. There's a pretty good clump here. Again, I'll find close to center. One loose wrap. So I'm going to kind of feather it out just a little bit so I can get a little bit more even distribution. Do one tight wrap, pinch it, set it down, come back up to the top. Just roll the rest of those fibers down to the underside. Just get them to the back there. Go ahead and throw a few wraps in there, keep them down. There we go. Have you work up just a little bit. I'm going to repeat the same process over. Again, find some finger flash. This time I'm going to put it on the side. Pinch it from the side, come over. If you have a rotary vise, you can spin it around, but I'm going to work off this as if you don't have a rotary vise. Then you'll just fold it around to the opposite side. Kind of help you cover that corner. And just give that one a few wraps as well. We'll walk it back just a little bit. Work up just one more time. Now we're going to add in some of our bucktail. So you can see this one's pretty picked through. Most of my chartreuse is gone, so this one's going to be chartreuse with a little bit of brown in it. This just helps add a little bit of a head to this fly. So we're going to pinch off a nice little clump there. Maybe 2 to 2.5 inches long. Here's our little clump. Switch hands. I'm just going to lay that clump right down over the top of that fly and kind of let those fibers coat around the shank of that hook. I like to do one nice loose wrap. Come back up to the top. I'll let that bobbin hang there for a second, and I just kind of sort those fibers out to make sure that they're lining up with where I want them to be. I've got kind of an even coat around the whole flash body. Once I get it exactly how I like it, what I like to do is I'll just finalize cinching that loop down. I'll come back up, pinch, and go back down one more time. I'll give it a couple wraps. You can see some of those fibers starting to stick up. What I do is I'll just trim off any extra I've got on the head. Wrap all those fibers in. Wrap right up to the eye of the hook here. And once we get that set, you're going to get your ice dub. You're going to pull out a good chunk of that. You're going to fluff it out to almost a square. Once you get that rough square, you're going to lay it down and kind of blanket it over the front of that fly. You're going to do one big loose wrap around. Loosely pull it tight. You're going to come right back up to the top here. Make sure you got everything where you want it. You're going to tuck that bottom section underneath the fly, exposing the eye of the hook. Give it 10 to 15 wraps just to kind of tie everything in, make sure it's all tight. you've got everything where you want it. Give it a few more wraps. Put a whip finish on it. Go. Snip off your extra. And you pull that fly off the vise. You're going to have quite a bit hanging out there on the back end. So you're going to find your egg loop or your hook loop. It's kind of buried in there. You're going to pinch that fiber right to the very end of that loop. Once you get your fingers just about even with it, kind of pull them all together. You're going to take your scissors. You don't need all of that fiber in there. You're just going to kind of trim it. I kind of like to do just like a bit of a triangular pattern there. So the middle ones are about the longest that you'll get. And all that does is when those fish come up and bite the back end there, they're finding your hook and not the extra fiber hanging off the back. So in total, this fly is maybe 3 inches long. It's a little bit larger, but it's been pretty good. So then once we get it all tied up and looking pretty, we'll go, like I said, go back in, find that loop. We're gonna reach into our bag of octopus hooks. Figure out which way that fly wants to lay. I like to put most of my hook points facing up. So I have the hook point coming out there. Just keeps me up off the bottom a little bit more. We'll pull that through. And just tuck that hook, once you get it through the eye, back down over the bend. And pull it tight, and you've got your hook in there. There it is. That's the Flashmaster. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to share anything you want to know about this fly or how to use it. You can just swing it like a normal fly, but yeah, if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But thanks for watching.